Hey sports fan, today's video is going to be short and simple. I just wanted to chat about my March and April TBR. The first book I'd like to finish in March is Dreams of the Dying by Nicholas Lietzow. I'm actually already reading this one, I'm a little bit into it and enjoying it so far. Dreams of the Dying follows our main character Jespar, who grew up in privileged circumstances, but he left that for some reason or another. We meet him after a lot of the exploits of his youth. He is an ex-mercenary who kind of just drifts around through life. When we meet Jespar, it's at the beginning of a new adventure. Jespar gets kind of a mysterious commission that he hopes will provide him the means to find a quiet place to live out the rest of his days. But this commission brings him to the archipelago of Kitay, where there is a lot of discontent. It's a classic situation where the natives of this archipelago are being taken advantage of, their resources are being taken and used for profit by people who already had money to begin with in the first place. It turns out Jespar has been called here to treat the mysterious illness of a merchant king in the area. That's really the catalyst, that's the jumping off point to the story. There are a lot of tensions happening in the setting of this book. There are the natives of this archipelago who kind of just want to live their lives in their homeland, but then there are merchants and mining companies who want to take up every resource and use it to their own benefit. There are terrorist groups and other kind of rebellious factions. It's not really a safe place. It's not really a comfortable place, and Jespar now has been wrangled in to trying to save a merchant king who he doesn't necessarily agree with, but he has to enlist the help of some of these native peoples. It's very interesting so far. It is compelling. I'm enjoying the story. There are some flaws in the writing, but not enough to turn me off of the book. The other night, I had my husband and one of my best friends go ahead and pick my TBR for me. These are all books that I already owned and I wanted to read, but I really wasn't sure what I wanted to get to first, so I just let them pick, and that's going to be my TBR for March and April. First book that I think my husband picked was The Third Wife of Faraday House. This is kind of a classic gothic, creepy, haunted manor. Our main character is Emmeline Fitzpatrick, and she is a young lady who's ready to get married and get out of her boring life. She sees marriage as an avenue to get to something more interesting. But when her preferred suitor falls out of favor, she ends up having to settle with the only man left who's willing to take her, and that is Captain Graves. He is a widower, and his first two wives died under mysterious circumstances. I think when we follow her, she's going to go live in his manor, and that's where we get the gothic creepy house. I'm actually super excited to read this because I love a gothic story of a woman who's being thrust into a weird marriage with a creepy manor. I really like a spooky atmosphere, so I'm hoping to get that from this, and I'm pretty excited to read it. The next one that my husband picked for me was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. He said that this sounded interesting, and hopefully he'll read it with me so we can do like a buddy read between myself and my husband. This book is about 10 people who are drawn or lured to a mysterious mansion for various reasons, and when they get there, they start to get picked off one by one. It is a classic, or possibly the classic, murder mystery. Think like Clue, Death on the Nile, which is another Agatha Christie, but it's a classic murder mystery. I don't think I've ever read like a straight up murder mystery before. I'm excited to read this, and I'm excited to see if I can like figure out the mystery, if I can solve the puzzle. I love puzzles, but I'm not super smart, so I'm excited to see if I can predict or deduce what's happening in this book. Next up, my friend picked for me Starling House by Alix E. Harrow. She read the back of this and said, this sounds like something I would want to read. So I'm going to read it, and then if I like it, she can read it. Starling House follows a young woman named Opal who is just trying to get by. She's trying to survive. Really, her motivation is that she wants to make a better life for her younger brother, Jasper. They live in a town called Eden. Eden is famous for being the home of an eclectic author who I think disappeared and left behind their house, which is like a weird, creepy, potentially haunted house. And this creepy house is taken care of by the author's only heir. So it's a very creepy house that's inhabited by one person. And Opal gets the opportunity to go there and I think stay there for some sort of reason. And she intends to collect a paycheck at the end of this. I'm not sure what the reasoning is. I'll find out when I read it. But I think it's going to be kind of a haunted house situation. I have heard really good things. There's a woman that I follow on Instagram who I really like her recommendations, and I love her Instagram. It's so beautiful to look at. And she highly, highly recommended this one. She said she really enjoyed it. I am also excited to get into this and see what all the fuss is about. Next up that my friend picked for me is Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. Kaikeyi is a young woman who is kind of a wide-eyed princess until her mother is disgraced and banished for some reason. And then Kaikeyi's own value is reduced to what she can garner for her father and the kingdom through marriage. So she kind of loses that wide-eyed nature that she had. She is unsatisfied by this and she goes on kind of a little journey and finds a magic that is exclusive to her. She uses this magic to become kind of a warrior queen, but there are other dark forces at work that create kind of a battle against destiny for Kaikeyi. I think that this book is kind of fate or destiny versus free will. It's a young woman trying to find her strength and her value. I'm interested to read it. I feel like it might be a little bit sad and difficult in places, but what's life without a little bit of a challenge? The next one that my friend picked for me is I'll Be Waiting by Kelly Armstrong. This is a spooky, creepy, haunting sort of story. This book follows our main character, Nicola, and she has been living with cystic fibrosis for most of her life. Things are kind of looking up for her though because she has fallen in love. She's engaged to be married until her fiance is tragically killed in a horrific car accident. And this is the kind of accident that's like in public, so there are a lot of people around. What ends up happening is that while she is like holding his dying body, other witnesses are filming the accident on their phones. And when one of the videos ends up online, people claim that they can see the spirit or ghost of her fiance hovering above his body while he utters his final words, "I'll be waiting for you." At some point, Nicola either seeks out or is convinced to do a seance to try to communicate with her dead fiance, and I believe she gets haunted from there. I'm excited. I love a little spooky romp. I like to get a little bit scared. I've been getting into more horror over the past couple of years and just kind of easing myself into spooky stories, so I'm very excited. The last book that my husband picked for me is The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door by H.G. Perry. I read The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry, and it was like an instant classic for me. I really enjoyed it. It has kind of like that soft woman, sweet fairy tale feeling to it. I'm hoping to find something similar with this. I like the writing, I liked the storytelling, so I'm hoping to enjoy another H.G. Perry novel. This book takes place in 1920 and follows our main character Clover, who enters into a magic academy, not because she's magical or even interested in magic, but she's looking for a cure for her brother Matthew. Matthew was one of many, many people affected by a fairy attack in the First World War. Clover makes some friends and connections that help her on her way to finding a cure for Matthew, but I think she might also kind of open the door to something unexpected in this book. I'm thinking it's going to be a sort of dark academia, historical fantasy situation. I like how in what I've read so far by H.G. Perry, it feels like there's kind of a magical underworld to historical England. So I'm interested for more of that. It's something that I don't read a lot of, but I actually seem to enjoy. All right, sports fan, that is my March and April lineup. I'm really excited to read all of these. I'm hoping to get to all of them, but I'm not going to limit myself to these. I had an amazing reading month in February, and I'm hoping to keep that trend going and maybe read a couple more than what I have here. So we'll see. We'll find out together. Thanks for hanging out.